right, I will call to order the March 3rd, 2026 meeting of the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission, and I will note that we have a quorum. 3 commissioners present and Commissioner McGinn on virtually on Microsoft Teams. Next item, the disposition of minutes of the February 17th, 2026 meeting.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, we have a copy of the proposed minutes of the Alcohol Tobacco Commission meeting of February 17th, 2026. I've reviewed those. I move acceptance of the minutes as written.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed,
Aye.
say no. Motion carries. Next item, the prosecutor's recommendations.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, we received a report from the prosecutor's office regarding alcohol and tobacco fines collected for the most recent session. There were 44 of those for a total of $32,250. Before I get to the normal process for reviewing noteworthy violations, there are 8 of them. I want to point out that there is one under RR 4938992, which deserves particular note. Our note indicates that it's an escrow, not upwarding. This is Indy Supermarket, yes, Indy Supermarket. This is a case that we have heard a number of hearings on regarding revocation. It is a location that is of particular concern to the commission, talking about the menu, the training, hiring, and other issues regarding that. It is on here as they have admitted the violation and paid a $2,000 fine. I wonder if we ought to have some special note of this. While it's on here for fines collected, it is a very difficult case. It's caused us a lot of involvement and pursuit, and I don't know if it's worthy of further discussion to see whether or not the further action needs to be taken.
I think this is an RR restaurant permit that my conclusion is they were intending to operate as a packaged liquor store. Following the last hearing we had where we got testimony, we were asking questions of the owner related to what restaurant operations he intended to take on. Getting at whether he really truly meant to engage in a business that fit the character of business of a restaurant. Following that hearing, listening to that hearing again, there were 4 times during that hearing that the permittee himself referred to it as the packaged liquor store side of his business. So there was the convenience store side, the grocery side, and he himself referred to it 4 times as the packaged liquor store side. We did reject one settlement agreement in this matter, in which his intent was to continue operating at that location, and based on his own testimony, his own statements, still not truly operate as a restaurant. This settlement takes it a step further. The permit will go into escrow, location pending. And I believe the permit holder will decide whether to open the restaurant at another location or transfer the permit, sell the permit. I will say I'm more comfortable with this path forward than a permit holder basically that we know is intending to operate in a way that does not fit the character of the permit he holds. I will vote in favor of this settlement, but I will note that if this comes back up under the current ownership, transferring into a location to open a restaurant, it will be thoroughly vetted by the local board. There will need to be a plan on how it's going to be a restaurant, what the training of the staff is going to be, what the point of sale system is that will track the alcohol sold for on-premises consumption versus off-premises consumption, what the floor plan is going to be, how it will fit with the carry out of alcohol from a restaurant permit. And the permit holder will have to demonstrate a clear understanding of the carryout laws as they will apply to his restaurant, moving forward. So that's my,
I agree 100%. Everything you said, I am in favor of the agreement. I think it was hard fought. I think the prosecutor did a good job reaching the resolution that he did. I also think we made it very clear and make it very clear through the settlement agreement that there is going to be a high level of scrutiny on any attempt to open a restaurant under this permit. And I would venture to say that not only would there be a lot of scrutiny before the permit was granted, if the permit were granted, I think there would be a lot of continuing scrutiny. Pop-ins, we used to call them in some situations, by excise. So with all of that, I am in favor of the settlement. And I'm glad we noted this because interesting situation.
Well, and I'll comment just briefly. We have, as I've said over and over again, thousands of permits, and only a small minority of those really cause problems. This may be one of the most egregious in dancing the line between complying and figuring out how far they can go. And frankly, I think the understanding with this is they've gone too far, and they deserve further scrutiny. Any transfer, any attempt at operating whatever he would call it, a grocery store, a liquor store, a restaurant, whatever he calls it, that it deserves a great scrutiny from now.
And I just want to add, there were no allegations of violence at this
Right.
location. There was none of the public nuisance allegation from that standpoint. So I think we have made it clear that, yes, we take violations, including that refer to violence, very seriously, but that doesn't mean we also won't take other things seriously when you're not operating within the realms of your permit.
Okay. Well, that having been said, that we've specifically addressed that, there are other noteworthy violations that the prosecutor has included in this list. The first is Silk and Lace in Indianapolis. That was a case where there was a battery incident. The officer investigated, saw that from the video, a customer was actually hit with a beer bottle by an employee. There are significant problems with it. The parties have agreed to a $1,000 civil penalty and a 3-day suspension with the alcohol permit. The second is one called In the Smoke Shop. This is a particular one that we just concluded the hearing on. There were 5 violations, I think, on this. 4 pending at the time that another was pending while we were setting the hearing on this. The parties have agreed, because of the violations, numerous violations, to a $5,000 civil penalty to resolve some of the violations, and agreement to revocation of the tobacco certificate to resolve the final one. And next is Portland Tobacco and Vape. This is one in Jay County where there was a permit inspection and confirmed counterfeit Zyn products, total of 20 cans of counterfeit Zyn. Violation was written for a nuisance. Parties have agreed to a $1,500 civil penalty and a 7-day suspension of the tobacco permit. There are 4 of these, I think, that have the sale of hemp. One, Tobacco Kingdom in Delaware County. One, a detection of marijuana, but also hemp, smokable hemp. One in Sri Bahamani in Lake County, again, smokable hemp, and another in Hammond Lake County, again, smokable hemp. All of these were $1,000 civil penalty and a 7-day suspension. Another one had to do with, well, I guess I covered all the hemp. So those are particularly, again, we see a lot of the sale of hemp products. There was some recent legislation in this session that may help address that. But based upon this, I move acceptance of the prosecutor's report recommendation.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item, hearing judge's recommendations.
This is, first one is DL 49-32456 VP 51 Inc. This is a case that I was involved with. It is a case that was heard at the local county board in Marion County, and it involved an underage drinking. The attorney involved has requested, based upon the resolution of that violation, the fact that they filed a fairly extensive CAP, community or corrective action plan, that this matter be re-referred to the local county board for review of the current status. I have recommended that we grant that, and that this matter be remanded to the county for another hearing, given the circumstances and the fact that they have, again, submitted an extensive corrective action.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next, hearing judge recommendation, we'll call the next two together for discussion. They are RR 4937277, the Salty Lemon Incorporated. That's an order withdrawing permission to transfer and closing escrow. The other is RR 4943005, Nova Lounge Incorporated. Order denying the transfer of permit from RR 4937227 to the Nova Lounge permit number RR 4943005.
I would just note that, at least according to my recommended order, I think the permit number on the Salty Lemon is RR 4937227. It's RR 4937227 as opposed to 37277.
Thank you.
Can we take it by consent to amend the agenda?
Thank you.
Consent.
Consent.
All right.
As to Salty Lemon Inc., was doing business as Chaparral Restaurant and Lounge on Southeastern Avenue. Renewal of the permit was previously denied by IATC on December 27, 24. Permittee by council filed an appeal of that denial. During the pendency of the appeal on March 5th, 2025, permittee filed a motion for leave to place the permit into escrow. It requested that the commission order the permit be placed into escrow. Permittee be given 6 months from the date the permit is placed into escrow to find a buyer in an arm's length transaction, and that the appeal be withdrawn. On May 20th, 2025, the commission granted that request, allowing 6 months for the filing of an arm's length transfer and granting the motion to dismiss the appeal with prejudice. 4 months later, on September 29th, 2025, a transfer was filed in which Nova Lounge, the other permit that's been called along with this, sought to have the Salty Lemon permit transferred to it. However, at the hearing on the transfer before Marion County Local Board on November 3rd, the board questioned whether it was an arm's length transfer and granted Nova Lounge some time, actually until the board's December meeting, to decide whether it wanted to reconsider and withdraw the requested transfer. Nova Lounge requested that the matter again be continued. It was reset on January 5th. On January 5th, the matter was again continued at permittee's request. Permittee having then advised the board that it thought it might have a new buyer, though no transfer application had been filed. Question of transfer was then set on the local board's February calendar. Given the commission's deadline having passed on November, 6-month deadline having passed on November 20th, 25, the Marion County Local Board stated belief that the transfer currently before it was not arm's length, I set the matter for an in-person hearing to consider withdrawing permission to transfer and closing escrow. The hearing was set on January 22nd, 2026. No council had previously withdrawn. No one appeared on behalf of permittee at that hearing. Subsequently, I am recommending to the commission that the full commission the commission can't talk. That the previous order granting permission to file transfer is withdrawn and permit number RR 4937227 is removed from escrow and declared dead. So again, that's my recommendation, that Salty Lemon's permit be withdrawn from escrow and declared dead.
So I'll second that if you want one now. I don't know if you want to explain the other one.
I would prefer one now.
Okay, well, I'll second that motion.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
In regards to Nova Lounge Inc., permit number RR 4943005, as I indicated previously under Salty Lemon, Nova Lounge had requested a transfer of Salty Lemon's permit to Nova Lounge. That matter was pending before the Marion County Local Board. Given what I stated earlier in the order in regards to Salty Lemon and the fact the commission just now adopted my recommended order declaring that Salty Lemon's permit is dead. Salty Lemon's permit could not be transferred unless it was renewed with a valid expiration date pursuant to IC 7.13-2042. Following our denial of the renewal of Salty Lemon's permit and the withdrawal of permission to transfer the permit, there is no permit to transfer. Given that there's no permit to transfer, the application for new or transfer permit, retailer dealer filed by Nova Lounge Inc. is moot as a matter of law. I hereby recommend that the application for new or transfer permit, retailer dealer filed by Nova Lounge Inc., in which it requests transfer of RR 4937227 from Salty Lemon to Nova Lounge under permit RR 4943005 be denied.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the consideration of applications. There are 399 renewal applications.
Madam Chair, I would recommend that this list of 399 renewal applications be incorporated into today's hearing. Further recommend that these 399 permits for renewal, which have been recommended by local boards and reviewed by said staff with the Authority Commission, I hereby move approval of those 399 permits.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. For the new and transfer applications, there are 4 to add to today's agenda. Those are DL 49340402, DL 49340403, DL 493404, and DL 49340405. That would bring the new and transfer applications to 25. Can we take it by consent to add those to the agenda?
Consent.
Consent.
I will show those added to the agenda.
I move to approve and incorporate by reference this list of 25 permit applications for a new permit or application for changes in location, ownership, or both of existing permits. Those have been recommended by local boards and reviewed by at least 2 commissioners. Hereby move for approval of the same pending final floor plan approval by the Indiana State Excise Police and escrow if needed. Further move for inclusion of this list as part of the minutes of today's meeting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 35 catering applications.
Madam Chair, fellow commissioners, I move to approve and incorporate by reference this list of 35 catering applications. Further move for inclusion of this list as part of the minutes of today's meeting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 6 direct wine shipper applications.
I further move to approve and incorporate by reference this list of 6 direct wine shipper applications and further move for inclusion of this list as part of the minutes of today's meeting.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Waivers of fees for letters of extension.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, we've received a report regarding waiver of fees for letter of extension. I move we accept that report.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Items for discussion. The first item for discussion is RR 2930044 Pancake House Incorporated. This is a renewal with the local board voting 3-0 to deny, continued from our January 21st, 2026 meeting.
Madam Chair, I would note that this was continued from that, it was originally continued from the December 16th meeting, then continued from January 21st, then from February 17th, 2026 to today. We've been in search of a more thorough corrective action plan to be submitted by the permittee, showing completion of the training they had said would happen. However, the permittee has not responded to any of our legal counsel, nor have they responded to any of our processors. Given that, I would move that we affirm the denial by the local board.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I would just point out that several years ago, we really entered into the venture of corrective action plans. And I think that has been a real plus for the commission to require permittees to really look at what they do and how they can improve. For the most part, people have been wonderful about that. Putting together very thoughtful, very insightful, and very extensive community action plans. The failure of them to respond is really troubling. So I support heartily this motion.
I would agree. I think my concern from the beginning is that they indicated that they would allow employees to work for 2 weeks prior to applying for a permit. The permit application is available online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Training is also available online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we asked for clarification on why would they work for 2 weeks before they apply for a permit, and haven't received that. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is DL 7234244, Martin and Bailey Incorporated, new with local board voting 3-0 to deny.
This is a request for a new permit for a grocery convenience store. The operator has a convenience grocery store already in business. They sell gas and food in Austin, Indiana. They have 33 stores in Indiana, 28 of which have beer and wine permits. There were, at the local board hearing, there was extensive evidence introduced as far as remonstrators' signatures. There were 351 signatures in opposition to the permit. Some of the remonstrators included arguments that this was close to an elementary school, though not enough to be prohibitive under the law. Remonstrators showed that there had been a violation of tobacco and alcohol at at least one other Indiana location. I would note that this is Scott County, which historically for 33 years opposes alcohol sales in a gas station. They were consistent at this local board hearing. The local board hearing the remonstrators, looking at all the evidence, decided to deny the permit, which has been consistent with Scott County's approach to these cases. And I would move that we affirm the local board.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I just want to point out on this particular case that as indicated by Commissioner Jones, Scott County has been historically opposed to these kind of amendments to what is the operating procedure in a particular county. I particularly want to note that how much I appreciate, and I think we all appreciate, the local county involvement. The whole organizational structure of the Indiana Alcohol Tobacco Commission is to recognize the importance of community involvement. And frankly, I don't think we see enough of that. So I appreciate Scott County and the citizens continuing to be engaged and involved, to follow through, to express their opinion. And we value their opinions at the local level. The work done not only by the citizens of each county, but by the local alcohol boards is commendable.
And I would just note that the seriousness of the remonstrators in this case, they had in fact hired private counsel to represent them in this matter at the local board.
Any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 2030343 Desi Corporation. This is a renewal with the local board voting 4-0 to deny.
Yes, this is a matter that was in front of the Elkhart County Local Board. The Desi Corporation does business as Phil's Corner. They have a type 209 permit, which means that they have to sell a certain amount of food in order to qualify to continue to hold a permit. I just can't talk today. I don't know what it is. And that was the most serious issue that the local board seemed to center on. They have, Phil's Corner had some violations. They had a few years ago, a lot of serious assaults and batteries tied allegedly to some motorcycle gangs hanging out there. That seems to have improved greatly over the last year or so, based upon a change in business models and closing at midnight every night and only opening at 11 in the morning. Now, the biggest problem again is they haven't met the $100,000 minimum for, according to the officer to the local board hearing, for 12 years. They may be able to qualify for a beer wine permit, but not liquor, as that $100,000 minimum wouldn't apply. However, what we have in front of us is the issue of renewal of the 209, which is a three-way permit. Given the fact that they have failed to meet the minimum standards for food sales for such a long period of time, I would move that we affirm the local board.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion?
I'm sorry for being so verbose today, but I listened and watched the hearing at the local board, and I was struck by how the owner of this permit spent a great deal of time talking about the improvements that they've made. But the underlying issue has to be that with this, as indicated by Commissioner Jones, the food sales, and he seemed to ignore that over and over again. I think, as you indicated, this is a long-standing problem. I think maybe he felt nothing would happen as a result of years of non-compliance, but there has to be an end in not qualifying for the type of permits you have is going to be dealt. So I support this motion.
Any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no.
Is that an objection?
Motion carries. Next item for discussion. Well, first I will note that the next 5 permits we are going to address are requests to reinstate permits. Before we even get into it, it's important to remind everyone that the statutes require, it's not optional, the statutes require permittees to renew their permits within 6 months of expiration. I don't know how many of these, it seems like they're coming up on every single agenda now. So if these permits are valuable to the permit holders that hold them, you have to do the paperwork every year, you have to complete it, and you have to respond when we send notice of missing information requests. As we go through these, the commission has spent an excessive amount of time on these, on notices of missing information, on incomplete applications, on expired permit letters, on renewal notices. So we'll handle these today based on the facts here, but this is no guarantee that anybody else that chooses not to renew a permit will be handled in a similar fashion. The statute requires they be renewed within 6 months. So just admonishing everybody that that's the statute, it needs to be followed. Now we can take these one by one on their own facts here. The first one is RR 4536827, America's Most Wanted Franchise LLC.
Given the fact they didn't renew it, I'm wondering if it really is America's most wanted franchise.
What do you mean, do I?
It is an oxymoron.
Yes. They are also known as the Fly Nation Bar and Lounge. As the chair noted, this is a request to reinstate. They last renewed on May 21st, 2024. It expired 4/24/25. It was 6 months expired, made pending auction on October 21st, 25. The catering permit 45-32219 was also made dead. The gaming endorsement had previously been made dead on June 25th, 25, as it had been expired for more than a year. Permitting claims an ongoing tax appeal as an issue and renewal. Also claims work injuries resulting in back injuries led to a lack of income. However, that was, as I recall, back in 2022. He says that he didn't get notices from the Alcohol Tobacco Commission, but says he moved due to lack of income. There's no claim that he told us of the move, or gave us any new address or any other way, to give him more accurate, notices, but our records show that notices were in fact sent. He wants the permit reinstated so he can sell it with the bar. He says he will pay all fees due. I'm moving that we continue this matter for 1 month for legal to communicate with the permittee. What is his current address? Because I didn't see anything even in his request for reinstatement that indicated what his address might be. And I'd also like him to tell us when he actually first gave us that address. Was it in this next coming communication or when was it? At any rate, I'm moving to continue this 1 month for communications between him and legal.
Second,
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
do we need to put an actual date on that or just?
Well, probably.
Oh, would that be April 2nd?
April 7th would be the
Oh,
first commission meeting in April.
Okay.
oh, that's right, 31 days.
So just the message motion.
Yes,
Okay.
April 7th. And
I would just note, it seems like in the documents we have, they indicate that he moved in 2023, but we have a 2024 renewal that still lists the same address and the penalties of perjury. So I'm curious if we were still getting bad addresses,
right,
you know, what happened with that? Any further discussion? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Maybe I should comment, given your explanation about reinstatement, maybe they should be held to a high standard. Get it right this time. If you're going to ask for us to consider something that is unusual, get everything and get it right and get it to us, not piecemeal.
such high expectation.
Next permit for consideration is a request to reinstate permit RR 02-01550 Sunset Catering Incorporated.
Seems like they're missing information every year, which makes this even more complicated for us. In 2019, it was made dead and then revived with 3 years of renewal submitted. 2024, 2025, missing information took until July 31st, 25, multiple letters and emails to get the information. They state that their business had little to no alcohol sales recently. There was some question about interested parties who needed to be disclosed. Prior owner had requested escrow in February of 25, stating the business closed in 24. 2 years of escrow were approved. That was also requested by prior owners. Just a lot of questionable information. At the time, there was apparently this, based on other factors, it looks like there was a contract for sale or lease negotiations, even though the permittee said there was no contract of any kind to sell the permit business. So, given all that, I'm asking that this matter also be continued to the April 7th meeting, for legal to be in communication with them. Why didn't he renew? He says he didn't renew because there was a question of his ability to get a certificate of insurance. However, when he was on escrow, he didn't need a certificate of insurance, so that couldn't have been a legitimate reason for him to not renew the permit. So I would like legal to find out from him what the real reason was that he wasn't renewing.
Second,
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. The next three, involve possible transfers to the same permit holders or owner of permit holders, so they were grouped together on the agenda. I will, however, walk through them one at a time, but I will note that they are all a complete mess.
Yes.
The first one, RR 1840162 Griffin Social Club LLC. This permit was a transfer from a permit that operated for several years. Then was closed and placed in escrow. It transferred halfway through the allowable 5 years of escrow to Griffin Social Club LLC. The information we received indicates that, well, our information indicates that under Griffin Social Club LLC, the permit was made active. However, due to zoning issues, the information we received indicates that the zoning or restrictions on the property would require the business to close at 6:30 p.m. So Griffin Social Club was then unable to operate, and the original owners were going to transfer it back into their name. There was extensive paperwork issues, some failures by a relative of the owner of the permit holder to renew. And some documents were sent back on our end because this appears to be, from the facts as we knew them, speculation of a permit. Transferring from escrow to somebody else who then didn't operate long and then transferring back to escrow. Given the history here, the suspicion of speculation and an effort to address the suspicion of speculation and not create a new game for people to play with escrow, I am going to move that we grant reinstatement of Griffins. There is a tax hold that remains in our system on Griffins. So within 30 days, or I should say prior to the
April 7th.
April 7th meeting. So I will order this by April 3rd, a tax clearance letter from Indiana Department of Revenue as to Griffins. Renewal applications that are complete and do not require requests for additional information for permit years 2020 to 2021, 21 to 22. No, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the prior escrow years. On Griffins, renewals for 24 to 25, 25 to 26, and 26 to 27. So 3 years of renewal applications complete, due by April 3rd. On that, I would suggest that the permit holder get them in within the next couple of weeks. So if there is missing information, there is time to correct. And then upon transfer, resume the original permit holder's escrow. So they had 2 years and 10 months of escrow already started. They will start at 2 years and 10 months of escrow upon transfer and only have up to the 5 years. I don't have a date yet because I don't know what day it's going to transfer, but that's where it would start. And a transfer application completed by that April 3rd date as well.
With all payments.
Yes,
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. The next two permits. I will first note that these next two permits are John Neal legacy permits, which anyone who's been around the alcoholic beverage industry knows that
There's a legacy.
the fact that we're still dealing with John Neal legacy permits is concerning. So the first one, RR 1811489, Cheryl Egan Incorporated. Again, we have information that payments have been made to Cheryl Egan Incorporated, and there is an entity that purchased this from them, and then Cheryl Egan Incorporated failed to follow through on any requirements of the commission on their end. So Cheryl Egan Incorporated is, as we know it, owned by Carla Sneed. Notices of 2 escrow hearings were sent to Carla Sneed. She failed to appear for 2 escrow hearings. Escrow was denied. It was set for commission. Commission then denied renewal of the permit, and we did not hear anything from Carla Sneed on behalf of Cheryl Egan Incorporated during that process. So the permit was made dead. I will note that the escrow time started September 14th of 2021. Which means the drop dead date would be September 14th of 2026. So we are still technically within what would have been that 5 years. If we were not, my motion would be to deny the request, as it would be outside of the allowable escrow time. But we're still within the escrow time at this point. But permits that are not active aren't benefiting the state of Indiana. No revenue is coming from those permits. No jobs are being created by those permits. So given that, I will move that we reinstate RR 1811489 Cheryl Egan Incorporated. That on or before April 3rd of 2026, we receive renewals for permit years 22 to 23, 23 to 24, 24 to 25, 25 to 26. Further ordering that renewals for 26 to 27 are due on or before June 16th of 2026. That's 90 days before expiration. That is when people should actually be filing their renewal paperwork. We would also require that a transfer application be filed on or before April 3rd of 2026, transferring it to the purchasers. Given that the purchasers also failed to engage in this process, that the permit has been in an inactive status, mostly a status of dead for this period of time. The escrow, as it relates to the purchasers, will pick up where it left off with Cheryl Egan Incorporated at their last approved escrow. That would be starting September 14th of 2023. And so when and if it's approved for transfer by local board, the drop dead date would be September 14th of 2028. It will not start at the time of this future transfer. And that's my motion on Cheryl Egan Incorporated.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. The next permit is RR 1802921 Shoestring Group Incorporated. Again, this is a request to reactivate the permit. Similar circumstance to the Cheryl Egan Incorporated. We have information that a third party paid for upfront the transfer of this permit, and it was not completed both by Shoestring Group Incorporated and the fault of the third-party purchaser. First, I would move first that we receive a tax clearance letter from DOR on or before April 3rd of 2026. Our system still shows a tax hold. And that we receive 5 years of renewals on or before April 3rd of 2026 for permit years 22 to 23, 23 to 24, 24 to 25, 25 to 26, and 26 to 27, which based on the expiration date, the 26 to 27 are now due. On or before April 3rd of 2026, a transfer be filed, and ordering that escrow will pick up where it left off at the last approved escrow, or the known closing date. I think this one was active. Escrow will pick up at the expiration of the permit. So the last we knew that it was ever active would have been July 18th of 2022. So the escrow will begin July 18th of 2022 with a drop dead date of July 18th of 2027.
No fees waived to pay it for,
Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah. Just
Yeah, there's nothing on the
Yeah.
commissions.
want to make sure.
No, so I mean, a complete renewal would include
Right.
the payment of fees.
Right.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Did you explain it again? No further.
You know how long it took to sort this
I
out?
know, I'm sure.
This is why you have to file your
Yeah.
renewals within 6 months, so we don't have to sort this out.
Yeah.
This must be the most extensive packet at these hearings I've ever seen.
Yes. Any further discussion? Not seeing any, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion, which seems very easy at this point, is RR 2943247 Aramark Services Incorporated requesting catering hall designation.
Since it's so easy, I'll pick that one. It is a request for catering hall designation. I see no problems with this. Premises are located at 2 Brickyard Lane in Farmer, Indiana. I recommend that we grant their request.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 4905428 Urban Amenities Incorporated. This matter comes on for an extension request.
Urban Amenities Incorporated does business as Chatterbox here in Marion County. The permit expired on September 25th, 2025. It was last renewed on October 18th, 2024. They received second extension on December 23rd, 25. That expires on March 26th, 26. Essentially, the main problem that exists here is that the corporation was administratively dissolved on August 5th, 2022. We have had communications between our processors with the permittee. Permittee assures us that he's working hard on trying to get reinstated with the Secretary of State, states he needs additional time with his bookkeeper and accountant to complete past tax returns for that reinstatement. I believe that another extension would be appropriate, although it's kind of like, hey, you should have had this done 4 years ago. But given that they do appear to be legitimately trying to get this accomplished, working hard to accomplish it, I do move that we grant a 90-day extension.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 5421982 Creekside Lodge LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request.
This is the second extension request. Permit was originally issued on November 16th, 2005. The expiration date was November 16th, 2025. Permittee failed to submit missing items during the original review of the renewal, but has since submitted all required documentation. They've had no violations since September 6, 2013, and that was settled in 2014 for a civil penalty of $850. I do move that we grant an extension for 90 days.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 aye,
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 203686 Snappy's Turtle Restaurant LLC. This matter comes on for an extension request.
This is, will be the second extension. Would note that on February 17th, I think it was, the permittee here she appeared before the Elkhart local board on February 19th, 2026 for renewal. She thought it was because she hadn't paid for the violation that the business received back in 2024. The board talked to her about that issue. She indicated on the record that she had paid that violation just recently. Do we know if that's accurate, Mr. Wiggum?
I believe it was paid in 2025.
Okay. Okay, I wonder why she was confused about that then. I guess because of the tardiness of it. So that violation has been paid for. No other violations on this permit. Given the name, I wonder if Snappy's Turtle Restaurant, do they serve turtle food? Or do they serve turtle to those customers?
We'll check that out.
Or is the restaurant shaped like a turtle? I don't know. Inquiring minds want to know. The local board did on February 19th approve the renewal. I do recommend giving them a 90-day extension. We do, however, need an F1. It needs to be submitted in that time. Permittee indicated at the hearing in front of the local board that would be submitted quickly, but to my knowledge, we hadn't received it as of late yesterday. So again, I do recommend a 90-day extension, but within that time period, she has to get in her F1.
Is there a property tax clearance? Was that,
That's the F1.
okay. So it's still not done.
As far as I'm correct.
Okay. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? I would just note, there were some serious violations that usually when we're considering an extension, I would request a corrective action plan, but since this has been before the local board voted to approve, we voted to conditionally approve pending receipt of that Form 1 on today's agenda. I would just note it's been through the local board process and vetted thoroughly there as is appropriate. So I will vote in favor of the extension today.
I agree, thank you.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 aye,
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. The next item for discussion is RR 7135485 Chicory of Mishawaka Incorporated. This matter comes on for an extension request.
Their renewal application was incomplete for missing items, but it's complete now. Their first extension expired on March 1st, 2026. They have a local board hearing on March 25th, 2026. Permit was originally issued on July 2nd, 2019 and expired December 1st. There are no complaints against this permit. I move that we grant the extension for 90 days.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next, we have two extensions to add to the agenda. Those are RR 2939402 Sunshine Thai Restaurant and CH 4523430 Nestani Incorporated. Can we take it by consent to add those two?
Consent.
Consent.
consent,
I will show those two added. First, I will call CH 4523430 Nestani Incorporated.
This would be their second extension, submitted paperwork on March 2nd, in other words, yesterday, in the office. They submitted that along with their liquor liability insurance, which had been apparently missing. The application is now complete. It's been set for local board on April 1st, 2026. Permit, however, has the same tax protest hold from August 1st, 2025. Though permittee submitted this request and stated to staff that they were anticipating they would get the tax clearance letter issued this week. They originally had the permit issued 11/26/2007. Last renewal was February 10th, 2025, and expired November 26th, 2025. I would move that we grant an extension subject to the tax protest being cleared. So in other words, conditioned upon that before we can grant the extension.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 aye,
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 2939402 Sunshine Thai Restaurant. This matter comes on for an extension request.
There are no tax holds on this matter. There are no violations. Their application is now complete. They're set before the local board on April 14th. I move that we grant them a 90-day extension.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 aye,
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Inactive files. There are 15 permits to be made inactive that were previously announced from the February 17th, 2026 meeting.
Did I understand that one was taken off?
This one's one. Oh, good. Somebody's late, but they're renewing. What's the
49-36489.
49-36489?
Correct.
Please remove.
Yes.
All right, so can we take it by consent to remove RR 49-36489 from that list of 15 permits?
Consent.
Consent.
consent,
We'll show that removed, and that will take it to 14 permits to be made inactive from the February 17th, 2026 meeting.
I incorporate by reference this list of permit applications be made dead and hereby move for the approval of same in the inclusion of this list as part of the minutes of the February 17th, 26 meeting to be made dead today, March 3rd, 2026.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 aye,
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. I will note there are 22 permits to be made inactive on 3/17/2026 if they are not renewed. Hopefully, as you can tell from today, you're going to start being stricter on the request to reinstate. There has to be a real legal hindrance to the reinstatement. If we do choose to reinstate, there may be backdated escrow timeframes, things like that. So get those renewed. I don't know why I'm talking to you here. I should talk about everyone here. There is a public hearing regarding Rule 32.1 repurchase agreements on March 12th, 2026 at 10 a.m. Noting the amended meeting dates, not seeing any other items on the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Man, before I second that motion, I would like to, at this point, acknowledge that Commissioner Jones this will be his last meeting. And I'd like to publicly note how much I have enjoyed. I've considered it an honor and privilege to be working with you these last few years. You are just one marvelous human being. Your sense of humor, your attention to detail, your interest and enthusiasm has been infectious. And I just want to comment how much I enjoy your company, sir. I wish you all the best after this venture.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. That feeling is mutual.
Ditto
I
all of
second that.
Despite our best efforts to trick and force and make him stay, cajole, make him stay, he is finally leaving us this week.
Can I close the loop on that last Markian joke then with the thirsty turtle? They do not serve turtle. I looked at the menu.
Okay.
But the shape on Google Maps looks vaguely like a turtle in Minecraft.
Oh,
So we'll go with that.
Well, thank you for your excellent legal research. I appreciate it.
I'm good for it.
It's not.
All right.
just one final comment. I made the recognition, and I think for me personally, that was the most dittos I've heard for a long time.
thank you all. I've enjoyed working with you.
All right, now I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
There was one made, I'll second that.
I'm gonna take Mark's motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. We are adjourned.
Thanks all.
Thank you. Go back to bed.
Or watch this.